Hi guys. Hello, happy Monday. I have missed you guys. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get on. I know it is election eve. I know people are a little anxious, but I am so happy to be back. I've missed a couple of Mondays, but I have been busy, and I'll tell you guys uh, what I've been doing. Let me make sure you guys can see my shirt, so at least you know that I voted. You guys have voted where you can if you've been able to vote early. So we'll get a couple of say hello if you guys are out there. I'll look for the comments. So, all right, I'll just go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Terrellin, your board certified family physician, speaker, author, coach. I help medical professionals who are dissatisfied with their current careers transition to careers where they can be financially free and flexible and more fulfilled. So thank you for joining me on this Monday, November 2nd, and this election eve. So what do I have to talk to you about? So let me tell you what I've been up to since I have missed the last couple of Mondays, and it has not been on purpose. So I have been busy. I have been writing. I was a guest on a podcast, and I do need to post a link for you guys. So it was a great podcast that talked about health disparities among people of color. And so that was a good podcast. It was an honor. It was my first one. So be a little gracious when you listen when I post a podcast. But I do welcome the feedback. And let's see, what else can I tell you? So I told you about the writing, the podcast. Oh, and I got a chance to start some work on branding. So did a little photo shoot. Yes, I got to pretend to be a top model. So look out for some new pics and some new work from Dr. Carolyn. So, oh, and like I said, yes, I voted. So for those of you who haven't voted yet, please make sure you get out early tomorrow and vote because you don't want any shenanigans, okay? All right. So I don't see any comments yet. So make sure you hit like and share. I don't know if you're on my Dr. Carolyn page or if you're on my Carolyn Cannon Knight page, but I am happy that you're here and we'll get into it today. I won't take too much of your time, but let's talk about growth mindset. I've been reading up about that, and I think it's a great topic to focus on, and I'm going to write a little bit more about it. But I have been fascinated about growth mindset because I think that concentrating on our mindset is really important because it's important in the decisions that we make. And I discovered that a Stanford psychologist called Dr. Carol Dweck has done a lot of research in this area on growth versus fixed mindset. And what do I mean by that? So, for example, someone who has a growth mindset is someone who believes that you aren't necessarily born with everything that you need to accomplish your goals. This is someone who believes that challenges are opportunities. They don't necessarily um, um, give up whenever they're faced with obstacles, and they aren't ashamed to fail. So those are people with growth mindsets versus people who have fixed mindsets. And people with fixed mindsets tend to be people who give up easily, who always want to appear smart. So then they tend to shy away from challenges. And so it tends to lessen their potential. So these are people who don't really put as much effort when it comes to challenges. And she found that in her research that a lot of it comes, we form these mindsets very early in life, and it's not necessarily our fault. It can start from our parents and our teachers. And if you think about it, sometimes we're praised for being smart, and sometimes we're praised for the effort that we put into something. And it's so interesting because I never thought about that. So think about it. When you take a test, how often, no matter what your score is, how often are you praised for the score versus the effort that you actually put into it? And so what she did with one of her experiences was she actually took a group of kids, a group of teenagers, and she actually um, divided them up, and it was a nonverbal IQ test, and everybody did really well. But what she and her colleagues did was she half she told half the kids, "Oh, you did really you on this test. You must be really smart." And then the other half, she said, "Oh, you did really well on this test. You must have put in a lot of effort." And so the next round of the study, what they did was they increased the difficulty of the test. And what do you think the results were? Well, interestingly enough, very interesting, um, the kids who were praised for their ability, meaning the smart kids, were very frustrated very easily by the more difficult test questions. And actually, they rejected it. They didn't want to do it. And so they began to also question that they were even smart when they got the harder questions. But the kids who actually were praised originally for having the effort for saying, the kids who were told, hey, the first time, you must have put in a lot of effort, they actually performed better on the harder questions. And so that was a very interesting finding. And not only that, it gets better. These students were asked to write a letter to their peers to describe their experiences with the test. So one thing they found was that the kids who were praised for being smart were they actually lied about the scores that they got versus the kids who were praised for their effort. So that was an interesting byproduct that the kids who were praised for being smart were ashamed. And not only they were so ashamed that they lied. And so why is this important? It's important because then we start to look at how our schools are set up, maybe how we talk to our kids. I know it's definitely after reading this, it's definitely made me think about honor how we sometimes honor ability over effort when we probably should honor both, or also just not forget about those who put in the effort. So that was and we may be pushing kids into a fixed mindset unintentionally, right? So we need to accentuate those people who are putting in the effort because oftentimes it will just motivate them more. I read a quote by Jackie Joyner Kersee today also that where she talked about how she isn't necessarily upset when she loses a race. She enjoys the process and she looks at it as another opportunity to improve her performance the second time around. And I'm totally paraphrasing it, but it lets you know how Olympians, athletes at the top of their game think. That's a growth mindset. If you can see an opportunity as, or you can see not necessarily a loss as a total failure, but just an opportunity to revamp, to restructure, to just to improve the process, then that's a growth mindset. And I challenge you today to think about your quote unquote things that we call failures, not as failures, but opportunities for improvement. And we always hear this saying that a setback is just a setup for a comeback. Well, that's actually true. Now, y'all, I'm telling y'all some good stuff. So if you haven't hit share yet, then I'm gonna be really upset with you because you should be sharing this with your friends. I'm telling you. And if y'all didn't go to church yesterday, this is a really good sermon. I'm not a preacher, but I'm just saying. I'm gonna have to pat myself on the back because I really learned something and I'm sharing some good stuff. So anyway, back to that. So how do we now? The other good thing that I learned, you don't necessarily have to stay just because we form these mindsets early. It doesn't mean that you necessarily stay there, right? So you can start if you discover that you have a fixed mindset or you have some of those tendencies, you can certainly shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right? How do we do that? We can make some simple changes, right? So we can stop using words like failure. We can substitute them for opportunities, right? The other thing is let's seek out people who have those growth mindsets, right? Iron sharpens iron. Let's seek out the people are who see those opportunities as those happy-go-lucky people who always tend to. I'll give you an example. So instead of getting frustrated when there's not a parking space up front, they're the people who are like, no problem. I'll park even further in the back. I'll be able to get my steps in, right? I'll get some exercise in. Those are the people with a growth mindset, right? They don't get frustrated that their parking space is gone or there's not one closer, right? They actually see it as a benefit. That's a growth mindset, right? Now let me just make sure I'm not missing some comments here because I'm using a different page and I don't want to miss you guys. Let's see. I have a funky page, guys, and I apologize if I'm missing it. My comments are hidden for some reason, so I apologize if you guys are commenting and I'm missing it. So let me go on. Let me think of another example that I think is a growth mindset. Or maybe you can think of it. So I'll be looking for the comments, and I hope my comments aren't disabled. You guys will have to forgive me. For some reason, they're not showing up. But also, I will give you another way. Oh, hey, Sonia, thank you. Yes, Sonia. So Sonia says, hey, Sonia, thank you for joining. Every time it rains, I get annoyed, but London says, at least there will be a rainbow. Yes. So London has a growth mindset. That is a growth mindset. You can't have a rainbow without the rain. Exactly. Love it. I might put that in my book. I hope I can borrow it. Thank you, London. So that's a growth mindset. And the more you practice that, then the more it'll get into your subconscious and then eventually in your conscious. And we might also, that brings me to affirmations. Do daily affirmations. That will move you in from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. Or if you're already in a growth mindset, it'll keep you there. So what do I mean by affirmations? Just pick those things. Um, it's not merely just saying positive things, but saying them enough so that you believe them, so that they get into your subconscious. I am strong. I am I am an entrepreneur. I have a gift that the world needs to I have talents and gifts that I need to share with the world. Whatever you need to affirm, write them down and say them over and over again. So that's another example of shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. I also want you, the other thing is to avoid negative people, right? You want to avoid those people who will be, who won't feed into your positivity, into your, what you're trying to affirm, what you're trying to accomplish, right? So the other thing that you want that will help you develop a growth mindset is you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in yourself enough that you will be able to avoid those negative people and you won't seek approval from the others. That's so important. And I'm not saying that that's easy. I know that it takes constant practice for that, right? So believe in yourself, affirm yourself, so much so that you believe that you set this goal, you know your purpose, and you believe in it so, wholeheartedly, so much so that you can block out those people who don't believe you, who aren't necessarily on that journey with you, who can't see it, because a lot of times people can't see where you're going until you're already there. So those are my tips so far for moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And I hope that's been helpful for you. And given what's coming tomorrow, let's apply it tomorrow to election, right? We don't know what the returns are. And I've been seeing a lot on my timeline about how people are anxious, right? So, we can take it back, I can pull from scripture and say, be anxious for nothing. If you are a believer, we certainly shouldn't be anxious, right? We know who holds the power. Secondly, if you have a growth mindset, right, no matter what happens tomorrow, there should be something. No matter, let's first of all, let's believe and affirm um, positive results, right? Let's believe and affirm that, right? Right. Okay. Now, um, if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, right? Let's take this as an opportunity to, what did we say? We're not going to use the word failure. We're going to use it, we're going to say challenge. We're going to figure out how we're going to do things differently so that they work to help us reach our own goals. Hey, Tamika, thanks for joining. Yes, Philippians 4:7. Thank you. Thank you, Tamika. All right. So let that be your plan if you need to. If you are so anxious, and again, you shouldn't be, because I want you to thank you for putting that in, Tamika. Read Philippians 4:7. Now, if you still feel like that, then go ahead and write down what will be your, if the results don't go the way that you want them to, how will you take that what will be your opportunity to, um, okay, it won't be a loss. It will be an opportunity to change your perspective, right? How will you do things differently? And that's my challenge to you. My first challenge is to make sure that you voted. And the second thing is to have a positive perspective no matter what happens tomorrow. I really thank you guys for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. I've missed you. Like I said, I have been working on some things. I'm going to post the podcast link, and I really do want your feedback because I'm trying to get better at this as I figure out my next step. I will at some point release that coaching program. I'm still working on it. I really do. I welcome your feedback for titles and subjects. I'm always looking for subjects. Again, this is about career transition, but really about just, if you're going through any big change in life, how to help you accomplish those goals. It's about providing accountability, encouragement, and accountability, right? So I won't keep you too long. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your time. And guys, be well. I'm Dr. Tara Lynn, board certified family physician, speaker, author, coach. I help medical professionals create the lives they desire so that they can have financial freedom and live the life of fulfillment. So follow me on all social media at Dr. Terralyn. That's DrTerralon. And I'll see you next week, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Love you. Be well.